Hello, this is Christina. Today I'm going to be talking about a dream that I had, and I call it the Four Cabins. I had it on February 27th, 2018. In this dream, I see it from a young boy's point of view. He's probably, 12, 13, 14 years old, somewhere in there. And so it's from his point of view that I'm seeing this. This is like during a troubled time when Christians, believers in Jesus Christ, are literally being hunted down and tortured and killed, or either used to draw out other believers in Christ. And that's done unwillingly, and it's done through mind control. So in this, it starts out with there are many people in a warehouse, and it's almost completely bare. There is a one metal box that has lots of merchandise in it, and so it has one man unloading, and then there's many people boxing up the items into cardboard boxes that they can take with them. And so and the one unloading, he's the leader, and they call him the alone one or the quiet one, because he likes to be alone and he's very quiet. He doesn't talk much, and when he does, everybody listens to him because he doesn't talk much. And so anyway, so he's unloading and everybody else is boxing. And he pauses a moment because for a bit to let the others catch up. He's very fast, he's very strong, and the others aren't as fast as him. So he pauses and he walks around, checks the doors, looking out the windows, just kind of being alert to what's going on. And then all of a sudden, he goes and closes the door to the metal box. And then all of a sudden, that just looks like a wall now. It doesn't look like anything. So it just looks like a wall. So everybody looks up at him like, what's going on? And then he motions to them to, he points and then he motions for them to go. So they all grab a boxes, and they kind of head toward a very wide door looking thing. So they go through that, and then there was a young boy that was standing there, and he comes out to grab a box too. He wants to help, and this is a young boy that I said it's his point of view, and so he comes out to help, grabs the box, and he looks at the quiet one, because he feels like he shouldn't be there, and the quiet one just looks at him. No expression, just kind of. And so then he points and he motions for the boy to go, like to hurry up and go. So he goes, and then the quiet one follows. And once they're through this wide door, it's like a barrier of some kind. From their side, they can look in to the warehouse and see. But from the warehouse point of view, looking at the wide door, they can't, you just see a wall. If they go and they touch it, it's just a wall. So many people believe that this was put there by God, because they can walk through it as long as they're with the quiet one, because the quiet one has the keys to the four cabins. And they believe that God put that in him. And that he's the only one with the keys. As far as they know, they don't know if he's given the keys to anybody else or anything like that, or the knowledge of the keys to anybody else. But as far as they know, he's the only one with the keys to the four cabins. And when he's with them, they can get through this barrier, as long as he's with them. So on their side, so they're kind of standing there looking, and then they see men sneaking in, like they were going to try and catch them, but of course they don't see them. So all they see is a dusty warehouse, and it looks like nobody's been there. And so they all turn and go. But the young boy, he stays. He's curious, and so he's looking like just to see what they're doing. And so he sees them looking around and searching everything, and then there comes this one man. And he is walking around very slowly. And it's like he knows something, but and he knows people were there, and he knows somebody's there, and he's looking for that person, like searching. So he's walking around very slowly around the warehouse. When he gets closer to where the door is, the invisible door, the boy is just like, oh, and he takes off. And down, it's like a long corridor, long dark hall. So he goes, he just kind of goes to their safe place. And sorry, my hair was distracting me. So anyway, so the boy rushes, goes down the hallway to the safe place, and but curious later on, he just goes back to see if what's there in the warehouse, and if the people are gone, and so on. So he goes and he's looking out the door, the wide door, to where the warehouse is, and he's thinking, well, he can go and he can get like the stuff that wasn't boxed up and get it and then bring it back. That way they have more of the goods instead of it just being left there. So anyway, so he goes and he's looking around, and nobody's there. It's looks empty. And so he steps out of the door, and then it closes behind him. When he turns, he just felt something. So when he turns to look back, now it's just the wall, and it's solid to him. He can't get back in, because you can only go through the door when the alone one is there with you. Otherwise you can't. So now he's stuck on this side, and on the opposite side of the door. So he slowly starts looking around, trying to be extra careful and extra quiet and aware, and try and be like the lone one, just aware of what's going on. And then he sees a small, thin man at the table, at a table, and he's collecting the goods that they had been packing. So he's like just quietly, he doesn't step out or anything, he's just kind of hiding, stepping back, and he's thinking, okay, well, this is just somebody else that's in hiding too. And he thinks maybe he could follow him, and since he can't get into the barrier through the door, maybe he's going to need a place to stay. Maybe he could, stay with this person if they're friendly, if they seem friendly enough or anything like that. So anyway, so he kind of follows him out, and to see if maybe he'll have a safe place. So he's following him out, and they get out into the open, and then the young man sees him, and first he's kind of like curious but cautious. The young man looking at the young boy, he's like curious, but he's also cautious, like he doesn't know if he could trust him or not. And all of a sudden his eyes get really wide, and the boy's thinking like, why is he afraid of me? But then all of a sudden they're surrounded and captured. And then it goes from there to all of a sudden they're in somewhere else, and they're both him and the young man the thin man are laying on a metal tables, chained to metal tables, and they're torturing the thin man that he had followed, but he doesn't know anything, so they just are like, well, leave him alone. And so then they go to the young boy, and then all of a sudden the young boy is out of his body, like his soul, his spirit had come out of his body, and he's looking down at himself, and he's like, what? And he hears a voice tell him, be still. Be still. And then he knows it's Jesus, and he wants to look at him, turn and look at him, but he can't see him. He knows he's beside him, but he can't see him. And then he sees like a clear shield cover him, like cover his spirit or his soul. And like, it's clear, but he can see it. It's like he could feel it. He can see it, that it's covering him. And he's like, what's this? And he doesn't know how he can see it when it's invisible, but he can see it. And he can see through it. It's kind of weird to him. Anyway, so then all of a sudden he's back in his body. The shield is still there, but it's like his spirit mind is separated from his human mind, or his spirit soul is separated from his human body. Like it's separated. Like his soul's being protected with whatever that shield was that Jesus put on him. But his body's not. It's just his soul. So he's being tortured, and but he's not going to give up anything. His soul's like, he'd rather die than say anything. Then the man that was in the warehouse that was looking around, that kind of, he felt like knew something, he comes into the room. And he feels a coolness, like a coolness come over himself, over his body. It's like his will let go. But he's aware of it. But it's like his body like lost its will. Lost control, just dropped it. His will's gone. And his consciousness, like I said, his spirit is still shielded, but his body and his brain, or his body self is separated, but it's now under the control of that man. And it's like he can control the body, but he can't control the spirit, but the spirit's inside the body. So that gentleman tells the young boy to speak about the door. And the boy's mouth, his mouth says, the key is the 4 cabins. And he sees in his mind, or the man sees in the boy's minds, only 2 cabins. They look like 2 square cabins. One well lit and lighted, lighted up, and one covered in green, both side by side and surrounded by trees. And the man says, "We can use him. Let him up." And so the boy is released. The chains are taken off him. And it's like the boy can see, like, what's going on. He can see what the man sees in his brain. And he's aware of it, but he doesn't have control of his body anymore. The man has control of his body. But it's like his spirit is protected. So even though he's aware and wants to not do this, the man has control of the body, or his body. And he wants to yell no, from trying to block what he's seeing, but, he can't. He doesn't have control of his body anymore. So he has no control. So the body of the boy just stands up and just stands waiting for instruction from that man that can control him with his mind. So, and that's where that ends. So, I hadn't heard anything about this, like mind control, or what are the 4 cabins. I know they're safe places because it said so in the dream, but I hadn't heard of them. Has anybody else? Have any of you heard of them? Heard of anybody who has talked about that? I'd be very interested in that. Okay. Well, that's that dream. I don't know if anybody will get anything out of this or have more insight into this, or maybe you've had a dream like this. So again, feel free, please, to comment on this. I don't understand too much. This one was a interesting dream. Usually I'm pretty good at understanding a lot of the dream, and just some of it I can, little pieces of it, but a lot of it I don't. Like, I don't know what the 4 cabins mean. And that seems to me important parts of the dream. Like, an important part of the dream is the 4 cabins, or the keys to safety, kind of thing. So, all right, well, I hope you have a blessed day, and Jesus loves you.